Okay, so this is an update to my Chromixium post some time ago, a couple of months ago maybe. Chromixium has now reached version 1, and what you can see on the screen is version 1 running. I've got 2 users set up. I've got an admin user, and that's for doing all sort of root tasks like installing software and other such things, setting up networks and stuff like that. I've got a guest preferences account, guest-prefs, and that is the user that I'd log on to and only I'd log on to, and in that user I'd configure the appearance of the default guest session. And the way this works, I've written a little procedure for it, which is just really being copied and pasted from various places. The first part of this is to actually install Chrome rather than Chromium, and the reason for this is that certain extensions don't work in Chromium that we use, things like Snagit, which I'm using at the Screencastify I'm using at the moment, and how to set Chrome as default browser. And then the other bit, and this is taken straight from the Ubuntu user manual, which is really just how to configure that guest session. And the guest session in Ubuntu basically means you log on, you do your stuff, and then you log off, and then all your personal preferences vanish, and it's just a clean user again. It's a bit like a mandatory profile, I suppose, in Windows. You log on and you've got a clean session every time. And this is how I would have it configured on a multi-user device. So if I go into this guest session, okay, no password required, it'll just log in. And you can see I've set a custom background. It warns me that this is a temporary guest session. And the things that I've configured in guest preferences in here, so things like the keyboard layout, the fact that it doesn't prompt me whether I want Chrome as a default browser every time. So if I click on here, it'll fire up Google Chrome. And you can see that I've set in Chrome the default website to load is the school portal. So it looks the same as a user who would log on to a PC or a Chromebook. They get the same login thing. And if they want to get everything else, they can sign into Chrome in the normal way, click in, sign in, and then it's not a lot different from using a Chromebook. Some of the things down here don't do exactly the same thing, so that doesn't actually pop up in the middle of the screen. It pops up there, but it works fine. The files isn't what you'd imagine on a Chromebook where you've got your Google Drive. It's local files, and these will be wiped when you log off as a guest user. You right click, this mouse is a bit funny, you can access other local applications that have been installed. You can access things like the terminal as well, or you could remove those, I suppose, from the guest user settings. But as this is not a root user, they can't really do anything. So it's going to be hopefully a pretty robust system. So as I say, this is just running on a virtual machine. So if I close that, I log out, and I log into guest preferences, which requires a password. So this is where I set up what happens on the guest session. So the sort of generic login. And let's say I just wanted to do something like change the wallpaper. So I could upload a file if I wanted to, but let's change it to that one. Okay, and now I'll log out, and then I log on as my guest session, and you can see that now that is the desktop of the guest session. And just to illustrate one other thing about the guest session, if I go to documents in here, new document, text file, I just create a blank text file there. If I log out, go back into the guest session, Go in here. There's nothing there now because it wipes all that data. So downloads and things vanish between each session. So from the end user point of view, all they do is log into Chrome and use it like a Chromebook. That's it, really. And that's how you do it. So you create this guest preference account, log in as guest preference, do whatever you want to do. And then with root privileges, you need to redirect the guest session to the guest preferences home folder, which is just those two commands that you've got there to run. Takes a couple of moments to do it. Okay, stop that there.